Howdy folks, hope you've all had a great weekend. Welcome to Monday, welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles, and it will probably not come as a great surprise to most of you to hear that this episode is also once again sponsored by NordPass. Get yourself a 2-year premium plan, plus 1 month for free, all covered by NordPass's risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee if you try it and decide that it just isn't for you. Just head over to nordpass.com/jingles and use code JINGLES to take advantage of this offer. And I hope you do find it useful, because otherwise I'm wasting my time telling you about it. I mean, I've been using NordPass for well over a year now, and it's made my life so much easier. I mean, sure, you could just do what I did for years, far too many years, and use your web browser to store your passwords and logins. But one, that's not secure, and two, you still have to come up with unique passwords. But if you're anything like me, you're not going to be able to remember more than 2 passwords for the hundreds of different logins that you need. And that's where the password manager comes in. NordPass generates unique passwords for every login that you have and remembers them all for you. So head on over to nordpass.com/jingles and use code JINGLES and get yourself a NordPass 2-year premium plan plus 1 month for free, all covered by NordPass's 30-day money-back guarantee, and keep those passwords safe and organized. And I genuinely hope you get some use out of this product, because I've been using it for well over a year now, and I would be absolutely lost without it. So I hope you guys are going to find it as useful and indispensable as I have. So, with that out of the way, what's new this week? Well, we're going to restart the Salt Mine Discord server live Q&A sessions that we used to do once a month until I, moved house, and it wasn't really easy for me to do it. But I'm now settled in, and there's no good reason for me to not start doing them again. So there's going to be a slight change this time around due to scheduling conflicts. We normally do these on Sunday mornings, but this week we're going to be doing it on Saturday. So in order to take part, just make sure that you're signed up for the Salt Mines Discord server. There's a link in the video description. And then at 11 GMT plus 1 on Saturday morning, don't ask me what time that is in your time zone. I don't know what your time zone is. In fact, I'm not even entirely sure what that is in my time zone, but I better check myself. We will start. The way this usually happens is that the questions channel will be opened up 10 to 15 minutes before the Q&A starts to try to make it as live as possible. So I don't get the opportunity to check the questions first. You can ask me absolutely anything, and I'll do my best on the day to answer your questions. It's likely that I won't be able to answer all of your questions. It depends how many questions get put to me, but I'll do my best to answer the ones. If I can't do them all, then the ones that I think the answers will be the most entertaining. If you don't make the Q&A, don't worry, because I hopefully will remember to record it this time. I know, I am crap. And the whole thing will get put up as Mingles with Jingles next week. So if you can't make it due to the time zone conflicts, don't worry about it. You'll still get to hear everything, even though it won't be live. So that's the return of the Salt Mines Discord server live Q&A this Saturday at 11 AM GMT plus 1, whatever the hell that is in your time zone. Looking forward to seeing you there. And if you can't make it, don't worry, the whole thing should be recorded, if I remember, and will be available as Mingles with Jingles next Monday. Next up, the open beta of Diablo Immortal is out. If you're wondering what Diablo Immortal is, well, I'm sure most of you know what Diablo is. It's one of the most famous game franchises in history, but Diablo Immortal is the mobile version of the game. Do you remember when they announced it at BlizzCon a couple of years back? When they announce anything at BlizzCon, there's normally just rapturous applause and cheers and shouts and screams coming from the audience. I mean, they could announce anything at BlizzCon and the audience would go nuts. And everybody was expecting a new Diablo game. And then the lead designer got up on stage and he said, "Diablo for mobiles," and was greeted by deafening silence. And then, completely misjudging the audience, said, "What's the matter? Don't you guys have mobile phones?" Yeah. Well, it's out. And I have to admit, I wasn't, because it's a mobile game, and you know what the monetization is like in mobile games, and I was just, no. Well, the Diablo Immortal open beta also includes a PC version, which you can download and install through the Blizzard launcher. And the lead designer, what was his name? Scott Burgess, has denied any form of pay-to-win mechanics in the game, claiming that he made it to the beta test's highest PvP rank without spending a single dollar. And he wasn't lying. But he wasn't lying in the same way that Wargaming weren't lying when they said it was theoretically possible to unlock the Puerto Rico in the dockyard for free in World of Warships without spending a single penny. In the same way that Electronic Arts weren't actually lying when they released Star Wars Battlefront 2 with loot boxes on launch and said that it was theoretically possible to unlock Darth Vader without spending any money on a loot box. And it was mathematically possible for you to unlock the USS Puerto Rico in the World of Warships dockyard without spending any money, if you were prepared to play for 22 hours a day and you were a super unicum. Then it was theoretically possible. And it was certainly possible to unlock Darth Vader in Star Wars Battlefront 2 without spending a penny on loot boxes, if you were prepared to put 40 solid hours of gameplay in. This, of course, led to the now legendary, most downvoted post in Reddit's history when one of the Battlefront 2 game developers said that they'd introduced this horrific grind in order to give you a sense of accomplishment and achievement when you finally did it for free. So it's kind of like this in Diablo Immortal too. Blizzard Activision have also said that there are no loot boxes in Diablo Immortal. And again, they're not technically lying here, but at the same time, countries where loot boxes are illegal, like Belgium and the Netherlands, you can't play the Diablo Immortal open beta there. It hasn't launched in those two countries. So what's going on here? Are there loot boxes or are there not? Because if the game isn't available in countries where loot boxes are illegal, what's the story? Well, it depends how you define loot boxes, really, doesn't it? See, what we know of as loot boxes, Blizzard Activision have gone to great lengths to hide behind additional surprise mechanics. So here's how it works. It is technically true, in fact there's nothing technical about it, it is entirely possible to get the best gear in the game without spending a penny on anything. But it's next to impossible to upgrade the best gear in the game without putting your hand in your pocket and spending real money. In the same way that it was next to impossible to unlock the USS Puerto Rico for free in the World of Warships dockyard without putting your hand in your pocket, and the same way that it was next to impossible to unlock any of the more powerful characters in Star Wars Battlefront 2 without putting your hand in your pocket and spending real money. You see, in Diablo Immortal, while there are no technical loot boxes, the only way to get the gems that you need to make your gear as good as it possibly can be is to do rifts. Now, they've had rifts in Diablo for some time now, going back through the previous games, and a rift is basically an instanced dungeon that has harder enemies but increased rewards. And in Diablo Immortal, these increased rewards take the form of an increased chance to drop some of the gems that you require to upgrade your gear to be the best that it can be. And here's where the is it a loot box or isn't it thing comes in. Because you can buy these things called crests, and these are items that modify the rifts to increase, or if you pay for a legendary crest, guarantee the chance of receiving these rare gems to slot into your gear. You can only purchase crests with eternal orbs, and you can only purchase eternal orbs for real money. Or you can earn them through the battle pass, which costs real money. So, while it is technically not a lie to say that there are no pay-to-win loot boxes in Diablo Immortal, that really just depends on how you define what is and what isn't a loot box, because they don't have what people recognise as loot boxes, but you could argue that these rifts serve exactly the same function, which is why the game hasn't launched in Belgium or the Netherlands. Because while anybody can access a rift, the chances of getting anything useful out of it are vanishingly small unless you're prepared to put your hand in your pocket to increase or guarantee the chances that you're going to get something useful out of the rift. So, are these new rift mechanics basically loot boxes by another name? Well, it certainly seems that Blizzard Activision think they might be. I mean, they categorically deny it whenever asked, in the same way that they categorically deny that Diablo Immortal is pay to win. But if that's the case, why didn't they launch Diablo Immortal in the two countries in Europe where loot boxes are illegal, Belgium and the Netherlands? I mean, if this is not a disguised loot box mechanic by another name, then why did you not launch it in the only 2 countries where loot boxes are illegal? Seems mighty suspicious. It's almost as if they don't want to test this theory in court, have a damaging legal precedent established against them. Yeah. Well, anyway. Here's the thing though, Diablo Immortal is, despite the fact that you can play it on PC, primarily a mobile game. And everybody expects aggressive monetization and pay-to-win mechanics in mobile games. So the annoying thing here isn't that there are pay-to-win mechanics and aggressive monetization in Diablo Immortal, it's that Blizzard are insisting that there isn't. They're insisting that theirs is the only mobile game in the world whose shit doesn't stink. Unlike every other mobile game on the market, Diablo Immortal's arse doesn't point downwards. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's just such a culture of lies and deceit in the AAA gaming industry that even when it wouldn't really hurt them to admit the truth, they just lie out of reflex, because that's all they know how to do. Also, they almost certainly want to be able to get away at some point with launching Diablo Immortal in Belgium and the Netherlands, so they're testing the waters, waiting to see if everybody swallows their lies before they risk it. Oh, and if you get the chance, you should definitely pop onto YouTube and check out some gameplay from Diablo Immortal, because while the gameplay itself certainly doesn't appear to have changed the classic Diablo formula any, it's what's going on in the background while you're playing the game that is hilarious, because they've got a sort of text-to-speech function in, which if you turn it on, and you absolutely should watch somebody on YouTube who's playing with the text-to-speech on, so that the game chat is vocalized through your speakers, because the game chat, and this hasn't changed really since Diablo 2, but the game chat consists entirely of bots spamming Chinese gold selling services from start to finish, over and over and over and over, which, given the nature of the pay-to-win mechanics in the game, I think is entirely appropriate and is exactly what the background sound should be when you're playing Diablo Immortal. In other news, Wolfenstein The New Order is for free at the moment on the Epic Game Store. You can grab it between, well, now and the 9th of June. It's not looking too bad for a nearly 10-year-old game. I mean, it came out in 2014. While we're on the subject of new games, I was very excited and happy to see that a game that I've had on my Steam wishlist for what feels like forever now has finally got a release date. Next month, on July the 19th, Annapurna Interactive are going to be publishing the cyberpunk cat adventure. It's going to sound weird, okay, but bear with me. And it's called Stray. The idea is that you have to guide this cat through a cyberpunk city. And I think that sounds absolutely awesome. The gameplay trailer looks pretty good as well. Yeah, I know, you can make anything look good in a trailer. They managed to make the Phantom Menace look good in the trailer, but I remain confident that it's going to be good because it's been published by Annapurna Interactive. And you may not have heard of them, but they're kind of a niche publisher. And they've been responsible for publishing some of the most memorable, quirky, imaginative games I've ever played. Games like What Remains of Edith Finch, games like The Unfinished Swan. The kind of games that they're never going to have the same kind of mass market appeal and sell hundreds of millions of copies as the latest game in the Call of Duty franchise, for example. But they take chances that you're never going to see in something like the latest game in the Call of Duty franchise, which is what makes the games they publish so memorable. I mean, even when the game doesn't sell particularly well, there's almost always something about it that was interesting and new. So that's Stray, coming out on July the 19th. A cyberpunk cat simulator. I have high hopes, let me just put it that way. I mean, even if it doesn't sell as well as it probably should, it's still going to be interesting and different. Well, in other news, and I, as always, find this hilarious because this is now the 3rd time this has happened. If you can believe that. Classified military documents have been leaked onto the War Thunder forums because somebody got pissed off that War Thunder got some tiny detail wrong with somebody's favourite tank. This is now the third time it's happened. The first time was with the Challenger 2, when a Challenger 2 crewman who got pissed off that the Challenger 2 in War Thunder wasn't 100% completely accurate and leaked technical specifications for the tank onto the War Thunder forums. It happened again, same situation with the French Leclerc main battle tank, and this time a Chinese fan has gotten pissed off that the Chinese DTC-10125 high velocity 125mm Sabo round fired by the Chinese Type 96 and Type 99 main battle tanks wasn't performing the way it should. So he's leaked an image of the tungsten penetrator and a technical document describing its specifications. So what makes this so potentially damaging is that this is the technical specifications for the Chinese People's Liberation Army's main armor-piercing anti-tank shell. So thanks for that, I guess. And also, it probably didn't need to be leaked. I mean, it didn't need to be leaked at all, but let me explain. And I'm quoting PC Gamer here. The game recently closed a publicly accessible development server that previewed the upcoming content drop. The thing about these dev servers is that the values for things such as armor, penetration, or flight models are usually placeholders, subject to change on final release. So, what happens was the developer added this shell to the server, but copy-pasted the values of the previous version as a placeholder. Somebody in China saw this, flipped out, and went ahead and committed treason to correct what are publicly communicated as mere placeholder values. Now here's the thing, and this is where it does get kind of serious for a minute. If you leak technical details, classified technical details about the Challenger 2 or Leclerc main battle tanks, you'll probably face legal penalties, but nobody's going to kill you, because there is no death penalty in France or Britain. In China, on the other hand, in China, there are 46 different ways the state can have you legally put to death. Unsurprisingly, treason ranks pretty high on the list. Hell, in China, sabotaging electrical supplies is a capital offence. You can go to jail in China for shoplifting, and if you escape from jail, they'll kill you. Because escaping from jail is a capital offence. And if you're in the Chinese military and you're just a little bit rude to a superior officer, insubordination also carries the death penalty. So if you can be shot in China just for calling your platoon leader a bit of an arsehole, can you imagine the kind of dim view the Chinese authorities are going to take if they catch you publicising the technical classified details of their principal anti-tank ammunition? And the leaked details that somebody is probably going to be put up against the wall and shot for didn't need to be leaked in the first place, for two reasons. One, it's just a game. Who cares? And two, they were placeholder values, subject to change before final release. So somebody's probably getting shot over this. People really need to stop taking games so seriously. Finally, before we get finished for the day, another giveaway. You may have noticed that I've been quite getting into Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunters. I've started a playthrough on YouTube, which I'm determined to finish, although whether I actually can finish it or not depends entirely on how good I am, because it's a pretty difficult game. It's certainly, well, the base difficulty level is definitely harder than something like XCOM 2. So I've had to restart my playthrough of Chaos Gate a couple of times now. I think I'm actually up to my fourth restart, as I just learned how to be less bad. Is probably the best way of putting it. But, you know, fingers crossed, hopefully we'll get it done. In the meantime, however, the original Chaos Gate, which came out in 1998, and is also a turn-based tactical strategy game, is available for free on Good Old Games, at least for the immediate future. And it's available as part of a pack, which is called the Warhammer Skulls 2022 Digital Goodie Pack. It includes a concept art book for Warhammer Mark of Chaos, a bunch of wallpapers, a couple of discount codes, and the full Chaos Gate game. Although if you want to claim it for free, you will have to get a move on, because it's only going to be available until 10 AM Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday, June the 8th. If you do already have a copy of Chaos Gate and you get this pack, you will be sent a redeem code via email so that you can share it with somebody else. And I think that just about covers everything for today, although I've almost certainly forgotten to talk about something, because that's just the way I roll. Oh, and just as I was about to explain how I'm constantly thinking of things that I should be talking about in Mingles with Jingles and not writing them down and then forgetting to actually talk about them in Mingles with Jingles, I've just remembered something quite important. The replay vulnerability bug in World of Warships has been fixed, although the fix has not yet been published. It's been fixed on the public test server, so when the next patch rolls out, the vulnerability in World of Warships replay files will be removed, and I will be able to continue accepting your World of Warships replays. So, looking forward to that. Hope you've enjoyed today's video, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.